The finale of House of the Dragon's second season confirmed a decade-old theory about the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. Now, I'm sure that you know that this video is gonna be filled with juicy, dragon-sized spoilers, so if you do not wish to get unsullied, here's your spoiler warning. Now, what looked like one of the most breathtaking non-dragon scenes from the show, Alice Rivers takes Daemon to the weirwood tree to tell him about his fate. He touches the bloody sap of the old tree and experiences a series of visions, like, Daenerys and her three dragons, Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne, his own death, but the whole thing started with a vision of a young, pale man with some sort of wine stain-like birthmark in the shape of a raven on his cheek, and the man was resting in what looked like a cave with weirwood tree branches growing around him. This confirmed that the three-eyed raven that Bran met in Game of Thrones was actually Brynden Rivers, aka Bloodraven, who was a direct descendant of Rhaenyra and Daemon, and a legitimized bastard of King Aegon IV. Brynden is also a man who saved the Targaryen dynasty from a certain doom. In fact, he was the wielder of Dark Sister, the Valyrian steel longsword that is in Daemon's possession in House of the Dragon. Later, he went on to join the Night's Watch and eventually became one of the most important characters in the war between the dead and the living. So, in this video, we will explore all there is to explore about Bloodraven, starting from his history and origin to his powers, abilities, role in the books. We'll also take a look at the differences between the Bloodravens between the books and the show. So, let's begin, shall we? Oh, and just one small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to us. It may be a small click for you, but it helps us in marvelous ways to bring you more content. Now, let's begin. The curious case of Brynden's appearance. So, we know that Targaryen children are white people, unless they produce a child with a Valyrian, but in the book, even Valyrians are white. And the show chose to cast black characters for House Valyrian so that there was lesser confusion among viewers. The reason I'm mentioning this is that our guy, Brynden, was not just white. He was pretty much an albino with milk white skin, long white hair, not the silvery white hair like that of Targaryens, and had, red eyes instead of the usual purple or lilac Targaryen eyes. The right side of his face, particularly the cheek and upper region of the jaw and throat, had this birthmark, roughly the shape of a raven, in a color that resembled a red wine stain. It was this red birthmark that earned Brynden the name Bloodraven. Unlike his half-brothers, Brynden was not muscular or tall. Instead, he was of slender build, and yet he made a name for himself throughout the Seven Kingdoms because of his cunning. This 6 feet tall, gaunt, and thin man had physical features that made him look vaguely sinister, but the histories paint him as a man who was loyal to his friends and those who he loved. So, to that effect, he did not care about the righteousness of his actions. During one of the rebellions he helped quell, he lost an eye, and unlike others from the universe, he hardly ever covered his empty eye socket with a patch. He took pride in the scar and preferred to show it to the world without any shame. As a young man, Brynden's family dynamic was complex. Brynden's father, King Aegon IV Targaryen, was far from a nice man or, a good husband. He had multiple mistresses. Brynden was the son of Aegon IV and his sixth mistress, Lady Melissa Blackwood, a noblewoman who had replaced Lady Barbara Bracken, the fifth mistress of Aegon. In fact, even Lady Melissa Blackwood was replaced by Lady Bethany Bracken, who gave birth to Aegor Rivers. Now, although Melissa was dismissed by the king, her son, Brynden, managed to retain good relations with the people in the court by leveraging the popularity that Lady Melissa enjoyed previously. Brynden was born in 175 AC at King's Landing and had to contend with Lady Barbara Bracken's son, Aegor, aka Bitter Steel. Now, if you have followed House of the Dragon, you would know that House Bracken and House Blackwood have always been at each other's throats, and this rivalry has been going on for 1,000 years and more. Naturally, it made sense to Aegor and Brynden to have a bit of a strife, but it wasn't Brynden who started it. Anyway, their rivalry went beyond family feuds and turned personal when both of them fell for their half-sister, Shiera Seastar. the daughter of Lady Serene of Lys. In the times to come, Shiera and Brynden grew close and shared the bed, but she refused all his marriage proposals. But that did not stop our guy from becoming her most ardent lover and admirer. So, in the year 184 AC, when Brynden was 9 years old and King Aegon was about to kiss goodnight to his life, the latter legitimized all his bastard children, including Brynden, during the Blackfire Rebellion. Now, after King Aegon IV died, his children, Brynden's trueborn half-brother Daeron II and his bastard-born half-brother Daemon I Blackfire, laid claims to the Iron Throne. However, Brynden chose to support his trueborn half-brother Daeron, who later became the king. In fact, Brynden also commanded the king's private guards called Raven's Teeth, who carried longbows. Speaking of bows, not only was Brynden adept in the use of his longsword Dark Sister, he was also pretty awesome with the use of his bow, which was made of weirwood tree. You see, there were many signs since the beginning itself that Brynden would have a lot of connections with weirwood trees and the old gods. Anyway, the first major battle between House Blackfire and House Targaryen happened in the year 196 AC at the Red Grass Field, where the Raven's Teeth, the longbow men I was talking about, took control of the Weeping Ridge. They rained a series of arrows upon the Blackfires from a distance of at least 300 yards, in which Daemon Blackfire's eldest son, Aegon Blackfire, lost his life. In fact, the battle also saw the deaths of Daemon and his twin, Aemon Blackfire. Some believe that Brynden used sorcery to shoot the said arrows and became a kinslayer, but it could very well be an old wives' tale. Irrespective of him using sorcery to slay his kin, Brynden did get several magic powers later in his life. As the Three-Eyed Raven, Daemon's death divided the Blackfire forces. Many of the soldiers fled, but a few others joined Aegor in his charge against Brynden. It was during this fight that Brynden lost his eye, but ensured that Aegor retreated and fled to the free cities with Daemon Blackfire's wife and children. Since that moment, Brynden ensured that the rebels were not treated lightly, which was something Prince Baelor Targaryen didn't like. Serving as Hand of the King and Master of Whisperers. It was in the year 209 AC that King Aerys I Targaryen became King of the Seven Kingdoms, and Brynden served him in two capacities, as the Hand of the King and the Master of Whisperers. Brynden's first major test as the Hand of the King came when the Great Spring Sickness hit Westeros. This was also the epidemic that killed King Daeron II, as well as tens of thousands of others. As corpses started accumulating on the streets of King's Landing, Brynden instructed the pyromancers to burn the corpses at the dragon pit, which no longer housed any dragons since all of them were lost after the Dance of the Dragons or to the Dance of Dragons. As the pyromancers burned the bodies of those struck by the spring sickness, the green glow of the wildfire funeral pyres could be seen across the length and breadth of King's Landing. To make matters worse, a second calamity hit King's Landing in the form of a year-long drought, which forced the small folk to flee their homes in search of places where water was still abundant, or at the least, available. Of course, Brynden ordered them to return, but the rumors of sorcery and the fact that he was a kinslayer kept people from obeying his orders. Things did improve when the drought ended by now. The reign of Aerys was criticized because people had turned to theft and crime while trade dwindled. Eventually, Aegor Rivers resurfaced and wanted to do his thing. You know, getting control of the Iron Throne and all that. So, Brynden suggested to King Aerys that Aegor be executed. Aerys was not happy with it, and instead asked Aegor to take the black. But Aegor, once again, managed to flee and went to Essos. The Wall. After Maekar I passed away in 233 AC, Brynden Rivers, then the Hand of the King, organized a great council in King's Landing to settle the contentious issue of who should inherit the throne. He even extended an olive branch to Aenys Blackfire, inviting him from Tyros to participate peacefully in the council. However, once Aenys set foot in the capital, he was arrested and executed under Brynden's orders. This led the Great Council to select Maekar's youngest son as the new king, Aegon V Targaryen. One of Aegon V's first decisions as king was to arrest Brynden for the murder of Aenys. But, you know, despite Brynden's defense that his actions were in the realm's best interest, Aegon V wasn't really swayed. Instead of executing Brynden, he gave him the option to join the Night's Watch, an offer Brynden accepted. In 233 AC, Brynden journeyed to the Wall, escorted by Maester Aemon, Sir Duncan the Tall, and a sizable contingent of recruits. Among these recruits were many archers archers from Brynden's own unit, the Raven's Teeth. It's noted that Brynden might have taken the famed sword, Dark Sister, with it. Brynden's influence and leadership were undeniable, and by 239 AC, he rose to become the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. His tenure was marked by mystery as well, cause he vanished while on a ranging mission beyond the Wall in 252 AC. Becoming the Free-Eyed Raven, the children of the forest found him, and he probably thought it was a good idea to become a green seer and let weirwood trees grow through him in the cave beyond the Wall. I would not delve too much into the events of Game of Thrones for the sake of the length of the video, and also because most of this stuff is known to most of you who have reached this point. If you still want me to explore that part though, let me know in the comments and I shall make another video on it. Marvelous verdict. The appearance of Bloodraven in House of the Dragon is a welcome move. Bloodraven's appearance in Daemon's vision during House of the Dragon might throw the viewers for a loop, since he hasn't even been born during the timeline of the series. But this inclusion ties back to the mystical elements of the Game of Thrones universe, especially the legacy of the Free-Eyed Raven. In the lore, every green seer or Free-Eyed Raven blends into a collective consciousness that transcends time and space, meaning Bloodraven, though not yet alive, can influence past events. In Daemon's vision, Bloodraven's presence deepens the importance of Rhaenyra claiming the Iron Throne. This isn't just about family politics. It's about the survival and prosperity of the Targaryen lineage and, by extension, all of Westeros. Bloodraven himself, in his time, plays a pivotal role by thwarting the Blackfyre rebellions to maintain the Targaryen dynasty, and later as the mentor to Bran Stark, who is instrumental in defeating the Night King. So, while Daemon seeing Bloodraven might seem anachronistic, it's actually a clever narrative device to bridge the past, present, and future of the Targaryen dynasty. It cements the notion that Daemon's allegiance to Rhaenyra is not only the right choice for now, but also a crucial step for the future well-being of their house and the realm. And that's the end of the video. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.